I actually think Jan Blachowicz is probably one of the most underrated champions in the UFC at this moment in time, and I think he's an underrated fighter in general. If you look at his actual career, he's a fighter that has had quite a few losses, and he has accumulated quite a few. I think he's got 8 losses in his career. In terms of the fighters that he's actually beat, though, he managed to obviously beat in his last fight Israel Adesanya, and he's going to fight Glover Teixeira, who's a veteran as well. He also fought basically, I think he beat Corey Anderson, who actually knocked out can't remember his name escapes me. Who's that eccentric fighter that he knocked out, the guy that everyone was raving about in the past? Wait, hold up, let me just see. Sorry, names are just terrible for me. I believe he knocked out Johnny Walker. That's it, Johnny Walker. He knocked him out in the first round. Jan Blachowicz managed to knock him out as well. He knocked him out in the first round. On top of that, he also got a win against Luke Rockhold, who at the time, just like everyone else, to be fair, underestimated Jan Blachowicz. Another thing that you need to take into account is when he got into the fight with Israel Adesanya, a lot of people were surprised at the fact that even though like a lot of people expected Jan Blachowicz to dominate him with his size, he actually dominated him on the striking front. So this is a guy who's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt who has actually submitted several of his opponents. On top of that, he's also got the advantage of being I think he's a Muay Thai champion, so he's got the best of both worlds in terms of being he's been proficient as a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, so he knows how to fight on the ground, and he managed to get Israel Adesanya down several times in their fight. And on top of that, he's got a Muay Thai background because he became a Muay Thai champion before he ever became a champion within the UFC, and he's a fighter who's a veteran as well, so he understands the psychology of fighting. He understands that he's done this for a very long time. I believe he's like 38 at this point, so he managed to get this success at a relatively late age, and he managed to do this at a relatively late age, and he's managed to accumulate all this experience. So he's definitely a top fighter at this point in time. Obviously, he does have losses against Thiago Santos. He did lose to Alexander Gustafsson, but I feel like if he was to fight them fighters again, he'd probably do well, in my opinion. The crazy thing is, if you look at his career, he also managed to lose his first professional fight in Poland. He lost via decision, so it shows that you don't have to start off great to become great. If you look at his last 3-4 fights, just looking at his resume, he beat Israel Adesanya, Dominic Reyes, Corey Anderson, Ronaldo Souza, and Luke Rockhold. And obviously he did have a fight against Thiago Santos. He also beat Jared Cannonier, who's a good fighter as well. And he has had loads of great fights. So in my opinion, Jan Blachowicz is definitely one of the most underrated champions within the UFC roster. To give an example of this is that during the build-up of his fight with Adesanya, the actual commentary team were just commenting on what the great things that Adesanya was doing, while they were completely ignoring everything that Jan Blachowicz was doing. On top of that, the whole you can tell the whole arena and everything was set up for Israel Adesanya to get that win, because the commentary team was biased. Everybody in the run up to that fight, they never gave Jan Blachowicz any credit, or they never actually gave him any attention. All they were focusing on was Israel Adesanya becoming a two-way UFC champion. So yeah, if you take it into account that he beat Israel Adesanya, who is one of the best Muay Thai fighters within the UFC at this moment in time, is very impressive, because Israel Adesanya's got, I think he's got an 85-6 record, 85-5 record as a Muay Thai fighter. So for Blachowicz to beat him as decisively as he did is quite impressive if you think about it, because of the fact that Israel Adesanya is a very good Muay Thai fighter. So yeah, that's my opinion on him. Tell me your opinion. What do you think about him? Do you think he's underrated? I think he's very underrated, and I think he should start to get the credit that he deserves once he beats a very top fighter. Like if he was to fight a John Jones, which I think is a very winnable fight for him, by the way. I think he would finally get some credit in his career. So yeah, that's my opinion on him. Tell me your opinion. What do you think about Jan Blachowicz? Do you think he's underrated? I don't think he got as much recognition as he deserved for his win over Israel Adesanya as well, which is quite unfortunate. But I do think he's probably one of the best fighters in the UFC, bar none. I mean, if you look at the tear that he's on at this moment in time, if he beats Glover Teixeira, which is a very good fight, by the way, Glover Teixeira is obviously a veteran as well. I think that's a very good resume that he's got there. So yeah, that's my opinion on him. Tell me your opinion, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.